This is MJ. Welcome to another Ridercast 17. This time I'm going to be talking about Kamen Rider Ghost. First of all, I will start off with the meta information. Kamen Rider Ghost ran from October 4th, 2015 to September 25th, 2016. The first and second episodes were written by Takeru Tenkuugi and directed by Satoshi Murata. That's who I wanted to look up. Sorry. A bit about Takeru Tenkuugi. He's previously known as the secondary writer of Ultraman Max and Ultra 7X, and he was the head writer for this show. Anyway, I just thought that was interesting because he was an Ultraman writer before, and then he came over to Kamen Rider. Satoshi Murata, the director, I wanted to read a little bit about him. I have read about him because he was the head director for Blade. He also directed a bunch of episodes of Hibiki, kind of randomly, 3, 4, 9, 10, 17, 18, 23, 24, 30, 31. He also did a handful of double episodes, maybe 10 of them, about the same amount of O's, about the same amount of Forze, Wizard, Gaim, Drive a bunch, and then he didn't direct every single episode of Ghost, but it was 1, 2, 5, 6, 11, 12, 17, 18, 23, 24, 47, 48, 49. So he's probably the main guy because those are, I think, the major episodes. Again, almost 10 of Xaid and Build and Zio, even though Zio is the currently running show, and he did 7, 8, 13, 14, 19, 20, 25, and 26, and we're up to 40 episodes, so I don't know if he's done more and they just haven't updated it because the show is still ongoing or what. Oh man, that's cool. He had a cameo in Kamen Rider Double towards the end, and he had a cameo in Forze as well, which is pretty funny. It doesn't say where, but he looked like they had him cast as a teacher. Anyway, moving on from that, the opening song for Ghost is, well, I would call it We Think Therefore We Are, but it's Warewaro mo Yue ni Warera Ari. And the, let me see. Yeah, but it's We Think Therefore We Are. It says that it was performed by, on the wiki it says it's performed by Kishidan. But let me see. The lyric and composer are not Fujiko Yobu. Well, you know who I'm talking about. It's Sho Azanokozi. Whoa, Azanokozi. Huh, interesting. Arranger, it says it's Takashi Kyuchi, and the singer is Kishidan. Anyway, that's kind of interesting. It's funny. I see the album art for the band, and they look like a bunch of banjo guys, which I thought was really funny that they didn't do the thing for Forze. Although Ghost has a high schooly vibe a little bit, at least Takeru does because he's that young. Anyway, moving on to talking about the suit actors, I'll just mention Seiji Takawa today because he portrayed Kamen Rider Ghost. And any other suit actors, there's only 2 other suit actors mentioned on the episode, so I won't get into that. The premise of Kamen Rider Ghost is that Takeru Tenkuugi was the heir to the Daitenku Temple, and on his 18th birthday he was killed, but now he's a ghost. And he can fight against the Ganma. I'm kind of chuckling because this is the narration over every episode. Anyway, and he is a ghost, and he has 99 days to recover 15 Heroic Eyecons, which are something special that I'll talk about later. And with these gathered, much like the Dragon Balls, he can make a wish come true, even, he has the power to do anything, supposedly, but I'm assuming it's basically like having a wish come true, where he can make himself be alive again. And the Ganma are also after these things, and they will wreak havoc and kill people to do that. So he fights against them, and in so fighting them, it takes him all closer to gathering the icons because they're trying to get them. So if he stays involved with them, he'll be able to find them and get them before they do. Moving on to the cast, first I'm going to talk about Takeru Tenkuugi, who is the eponymous Kamen Rider Ghost, of course. He's an interesting character. I feel like I identify with him a lot. He really doesn't want to die. He wants to be a hero. but he acknowledges that he has spent his time dreaming about that and not doing much about it. He fantasizes and idealizes this idea of being a hero, especially because his dad told him that he would have to become a hero when he was 8. But he hasn't been training and he hasn't been working hard. He hasn't been trying to prove himself or really do anything other than pine and wish for the things that he wants to have in his life. And I find that to be pretty compelling and interesting, and it definitely makes him flawed. And I like that in a hero. I find it really compelling, and he has like this mini arc in the first episode where he gets the reason that he died was because he never tried, never trained, never got himself up to the level of being like an actual ghost hunter or being spiritually sensitive enough to see ghosts or things like that. And then it all happens when he gets that icon from his dad. But as he's laying dying, he realizes that he didn't put the work in, and that's why he failed. But then when he has the chance to come back as Ghost, he says that he's going to believe in himself. And I think he had said he was going to believe in himself before he died, but he realized that, like I said again and again, he hadn't done the work. But, Sage tells him that having the icon is going to empower him and enable him to fight the Ganma, so he knows he can do it. And he can't die again, which is played for laughs a little, but I like that. It adds an element of fun to it, especially because, you could ask what are the stakes, but the stakes are other people's lives are at risk. So, it's kind of fun to see Takeru get, beaten around a bit, which he does because he's, arrogant and or undisciplined, unschooled, and not quite prepared for battle, but he's able to manage it, and I really enjoyed that. Akari comes off a little bad because she's played as skeptical to a fault, or like beyond credulity, in the first and second episode, and that's not cool. But it is interesting that she's more proactive. She's obviously involved in school, which Takeru isn't. Like they're childhood friends. She's, I think, a couple of years older than him, and she's going places in her life, and she's like making, not necessarily a name for herself, but she's trying to forge a path in life. And it's ironic because Takeru talks about wanting to do that, and in contrast to him, she's pining for things that are grounded and realistic and more concrete, but she's actually pursuing them. And perhaps it's because her dreams or her wishes aren't as grandiose as his, that she is accomplishing them or achieving them, but maybe it's also because she's a more determined, more focused person, and because she doesn't allow herself to be swept away in the romanticism of heroes and things like that. She takes action and like destiny into her own hands, and I think she has a lot of positive qualities that Takeru can learn from and start to emulate himself to be a better person, really. I don't think we got enough of Onari for me to really say much about him, other than he's driven and disciplined. He's a little bit sycophantic, or gosh, he's like waiting for Takeru to man up and take ownership of his life and responsibility for the temple, and really truly step into the role of the heir, and be this ghost hunter like his dad was. And gosh, I don't really know what to say. I can't really tease anything greater out of that, but I feel like there is some depth there that is kind of being overlooked, or it's yet to be revealed. He seems pretty genuine. There's a weird moment where he kind of ships Akari and Takeru, and she, bops him or whatever in response to that. Anyway, there was a funny moment where he's over her in episode 2 trying to wake her up because he thinks she's, too hurt or something, and she screams because she's, wakes up with him in her face. But that's more a moment between them than, just something strictly about Onari. But I don't know, like, and there's even a funny bit. So he's kind of a comedic character, but there's a funny bit where Sage puts an idea into his head that makes him start the not detective agency, but like the paranormal investigation part of the service of the temple there, of Daitenku Temple, and that's kind of funny because he wants to see ghosts, and he claims that he's spiritually developed and has grown because of his discipline and whatnot, and it hasn't helped him to see ghosts yet. And gosh, I don't know. There's something. Like the seed of something there that I want to talk about, but I don't quite have the words to talk about it, or maybe even the context from the show in these first 2 episodes to really say what I need to. But he's an interesting character, and I like him. A lot of fun. The dynamic between Takeru and Akari is interesting. Like, I don't think there's the romance stuff there, but there's definitely like a intimate relationship between them, and I like all the history that they have and how she's willing to call him out on his shortcomings and how he just kind of takes it because he knows that it's true. Now, something interesting is that between, like, Onari represents, faith, so to speak, and Akari represents, science or skepticism, perhaps. And Takeru is very much in the middle of them, and they have a couple scenes where the two of them are trying to get him on their side, and he states kind of boldly that he's going to see what he believes, but he's open to believing in things that Akari isn't quite yet open to believing. And I like that. I want to say dynamism, but I feel like that's just the word in my head right now. It's not necessarily what I mean to say. I like that aspect of Takeru, that he's wanting to balance those things, and he's open to things, but he wants to be convinced. He wants to find that things are true. And he kind of feels like he wants to look at the truth of the world and see it the way it really is, but he's open to, like, things being special, things being romantic, things being more than what, meets the eye. And I don't know, that's interesting. Like, the three of them form a very interesting character dynamic in these first 2 episodes that I really enjoyed watching. Next up, we have Shibuya and Narita, who are... Shibuya's the one with the glasses. Narita doesn't have glasses. They're like junior disciples at the monastery, the temple, and they're learning from Onari. We don't get much out of them. They're more support staff in these episodes, and we don't get to see too much from them. But they're kind of interesting, charming guys doing monk stuff, I guess, learning too. And then we have Sage, who introduces Takeru to the whole fact that he's dead and that he can become ghost and what the icon is and what it does. And he serves a very mechanical purpose in the episodes, although it's really funny. He talks about who he is. I'm everyone and I'm no one. And Takeru says, "Are you God?" And he's like, "No, nothing that grandiose." And anyway, he bops Takeru around. He's kind of rough with him. And I like and then also, like, later he gets in goofy costumes and he appears to Takeru at his place, but he's kind of aloof and all over the place, and I like him as a mentor-esque character. I think he's really interesting, and what they do with him, what they're doing with him now, it sets you up to, I don't know, kind of be open to the unexpected with him. And like I mentioned, how he played with Onari earlier. That's funny. And then I saw in the preview for episode 3 that he, like, appears to Akari. So it's like, I don't know, he's an interesting guy, get an interesting vibe. I love his, like, aloof, like, stoner sage or Zen master kind of attitude that he has. It's really fun. Yurusen is like an expository machine / tutorial character who helps out Takeru and just kind of pops in and out and says things, makes fun of Takeru, helps him learn the rules, and I really like Yurusen. It's a very weird character, and I'm into it. Takeru's dad dies when he's 8 years old, and he tells his son that he has to become a hero, and he gives him this sword, or the, like, scabbard guard or whatever from Musashi's, one of Musashi's katanas, and we don't know much else about him, but other than he was this great ghost hunter, and I'm sure that'll be linked to stuff later on in the rest of the show. So moving on to the villains, we've got Mysterious Man in Black Hat with glasses. He does stuff with Ganma. He creates them. He influenced the professor who became Edison. We don't know much else about him. He's mysterious, and he works with this young man who has a very interesting character design as far as his outfit is concerned. And he's aloof, and he seems to be running Ganma stuff, maybe. I don't know if they're in partnership or if one of them works for the other or how that goes, but that's who they are. And then I'll close up talking about I like the overall dynamic of all the Daitenku Temple people together, including Akari. It's interesting that they're all linked to each other, and they have kind of an interesting relationship because Takeru's supposed to be like the heir and master of the temple because he, inherited it from his dad. But I'm guessing Onari basically had to raise Takeru, and that's pretty interesting. Like, where's his mom and stuff? I don't know. And then he probably has a familial relationship somewhat with Shibuya and Narita, but I don't know how long ago they came onto the temple and all those different details. But they all work, closely together and have kind of a nice feel. And then Akari, while she butts heads with Onari, she definitely has that tightness with Takeru, and it kind of makes them all blend together. But they're all different people, and they don't feel samey. They feel pretty distinct, and like they're all separate characters, which is really enjoyable. So positive overall dynamic. So the design of the show features lots and lots of eyes, and I dig that. I think it's pretty cool. It's all about waking up and awakening of the soul or whatever, and opening your third eye, and that's something that Takeru's dad even mentions before he dies. Like, you're gonna have to open your mind's eye, and become a hero and all this other stuff. And it's really interesting. Takeru's using the eye. The Ganma are using eyes. They're all using icons, so the powers are linked like in classic Kamen Rider stuff. But there's a spirituality aspect linked with the eye that is pretty cool. And I just think pretty much it looks awesome for the most part. Even like Yurisen is a big eye ghost. And the there's spirits or whatever inside the icons that the Ganma use, and they're able to be manipulated somehow. They have belts on them that look like eyes. So I really like the eyes. And then also I noticed one of the Ganma on its face has multiple eyes other than the two probably that the suit actor is using to look out of for the most part. And I think that's pretty interesting. I really like all the design work. Very simply, Ghost and the Ganma are like base black with pops of color on them in different areas. Ghost has a cool transformation during nighttime, and all the orange bits on his suit glow, but they're just outlined, so it's like not overpowering at all, except for the white eye on his chest. It glows white, and I think it's just really cool. I really dig it. I like the Ghost suit. I like the parka ghosts, I think is what they call them, the hoodie ones. And it's funny that like his at first flies around and he doesn't realize that it's his, and then it gets on him and stuff, and then he becomes Ghost, or he gets that power, and then it like puts his face on too. So that's a weird thing. But the Ganma are also basically parkas. It's base black suits with a parka or jacket and vest thing of some sort. So all the designs like kind of up top and then hanging down from them, and then they have black faces and just plain blue eyes. Which I think for the most of them, well, I don't know. Some of them, their eyes stay the same. Some of them get extra eyes and stuff, but they have all these accessories hanging off of them that form their armor, which is pretty cool. And then I really like the idea of the Ganma can carry around little Ganma icons, like the sword one does, the katana one, I think, and he throws them out, and then they become these blank suited Ganma that have hoodies on that have eyes on them as well. So like, it's all very consistent design. It all looks like it very much came from the same thing, which makes me wonder if like spoilers. I wonder if like it just makes me wonder about the source of the icon stuff and who made it and whatnot. But yeah, I really dig it. I don't know what else I can say. I guess I'll talk about this now. I like how old school ridery. Never mind. The hoodie Ganma, the blank ones, don't have eyes yet. They get eyes when they get combined with an item of some sort. So that's pretty cool to see. But these guys. It's like a very base Kamen Rider design. Like they look like old mooks. They've got boots, they've got gloves, they've got hoods, and they're mirroring directly what Takeru has in his power set, which always tickles me because I really like the original Kamen Rider, and I like the hero having the power of evil basically and using it for good. That really gets to me. I like how simple his form changes are too. I mean, they're a little complex, but overall they're simple. He pulls out his main icon, and then his parka disappears, and then he puts a new one into the belt, and he clicks it or whatever, and then he gets a new parka, or new parka ghost comes out, and then it attaches to him with a little song and dance, which I kind of dig the song and dance. It doesn't really, or the song really, it doesn't bother me at all. And I liked his Musashi form. I liked how it looked overall. I like how the different forms offer different weapons. If you're looking on the website on mjmunoz.com, or if you're looking at the video version of this over on YouTube on my Recypher channel, you'll see Edison's Ghost 2. I love all the eye puns. Like his weapons have eyes on him, and his belt has an eye, and he can make eye contact between a weapon and his belt, so that it makes for the finisher. And I also like that it's clear, like how he has to his Musashi thing. He does the eye symbol over it, the scabbard guard. He does the eye symbol
on it, and he unlocks like the power of Miyamoto Musashi. A generic icon, a Ganma icon, gets combined with a sword into a sword Ganma, and the other was like a lance or whatever, and they got turned into that kind of Ganma. It was fusing an item, and this spirit basically turns it into a ghost of that thing. And I really like that idea. And I also really like it when he's fighting the Ganma, and he's slashing them, all those hoodie ones, like ink comes out of them, because we saw earlier that the black hat guy was forming them out of ink basically. And I think it's pretty cool. Something ridiculous that happens is the iguana boat Captain Ghost. It's a crazy CGI thing. I'm sure it's one of those toy selling things that appears in the first episode and maybe in like 2 or 3 other episodes for short snippets of time like other Kamen Riders do. But I kind of like it. There's something charming about it, although it's weird that it like squeaks and stuff while it's jumping around. I don't know if that was like just to draw the attention of 8-year-olds to make them want to buy that. But it's pretty cool that Takeru's bike combines with it, and that's how he's able to control Captain Ghost. But then again, Captain Ghost can go off on his own and fight, which he does in the Edison. Well, he appears in the Edison episode, the second episode, and that's what happens. Now, I find it interesting that Takeru's face changes depending on the ghost that he has. But like basically, there's the 2 black eyes, and then there's a colored thing for each parka, making a shape. Like for Edison, it's a light bulb. For Musashi, it was 2 swords crossing at each other because he was a dual-wielding swordsman. According to legend, probably pretty accurate. I really like Takeru's bike. I like that him transforming while riding his bike transforms his bike into a rider machine, which is technically what the Kamen Rider bikes are called in at least the Heisei era. I don't know about Showa at all. But it's cool. It's like a horse, like a black horse unicorn thing, and it, blends in pretty well with him, or it matches him fairly well. And I like that. I think his suit is a great design. I really like his mask, the big black eyes. I don't know what else to say, but I like a lot of what's going on in Ghost. The look of it is really good. It's like very simple, very kind of classic, but if a classic type thing was being forced to be like a modern Heisei-era show where there's all these form changes and stuff. And I like that it's sticking mostly with the base form. And then just adding stuff on top of it, kind of like how Drive did. It's interesting to see the iterations, how they change. Fourze did that, but then after Fourze it was Wizard, and those were pretty big form changes, although you can argue it was just kind of colors. And then Gaim had totally wild, different form changes. So yeah. I like the look of Kamen Rider Ghost. That's basically what I'm trying to say. I think the design work is really good. So I'm going to close up with my overall thoughts. I like the fact that Takeru it basically is going to be finding the 15 icons by getting involved, like finding a strange thing going on, a strange phenomenon going on in town that the Ganma are involved in, because somehow they're going to get all these 15 heroic icons within the confines of Tokyo or whatever area he's in. But basically, he can go where the trouble's headed, and it's going to be like an arms race to see who can get the icons first. And I'm assuming they'll be able to steal them from him, and he'll be able to steal them from him, kind of like in O's, the medals, how that worked. But one thing I really liked about it is that the show really feels like it has a message of believing in yourself, but also putting in the hard work. Like, you can't just arrogantly assume that you're going to be great at things because you want to be. If you do that, you're going to get killed, like Takeru. But if you're given a chance, like you might be getting a chance right here by seeing this in the show, you might learn that you have to work hard at things, and that you can believe in yourself, and you can believe in something greater than yourself, like the ideal of heroism, or the ideal that heroes are something that really exists. They say don't meet your heroes, but you can embody the qualities of your heroes whether they're flawed or not. Even if they are selfish or rude or mean or actually bad people in reality, you can still take all the heroic characteristics of them and use them to do good. And that's what Takeru has done in these first 2 episodes. Like, the real life Edison was a bad guy in some ways, and Takeru pushes past that and embodies the best of people, and he's going to be helping others in the meantime to do that, but ultimately it's going to help him grow. And I just like I can see, because this is a kid show, that it's going to be like very morally instructive, but in a really cool way. And I really like that, because I think moral instruction is a great thing to have in children's media, and it's exciting to watch too. All the fight scenes were good. I like the characters. I think it's going to be a good show. So I got a spike in subscribers once I put the show on iTunes and maybe Google Play too. So I appreciate everybody who's newly listening to another Ridercast. This is also on YouTube on Recipher, but you can always find everything I do on mjmunoz.com. And I want to thank you for subscribing and joining. And I really appreciate that. And I would appreciate comments. Before I ask some questions to you that I'd like you to answer, if you want to contact me either on the website or on YouTube or whatever, I want to let you know that I have a separate tokusatsu podcast where I just talk about general tokusatsu, and I haven't done too much with it, but I've kind of sampled different things and jumped around different topics, different episodes of things, reviewing those and talking about those. And I'm also going to be talking about the Ultraman anime season 2 that's going to be on Netflix pretty soon. So I'm doing a bunch of tokusatsu stuff. I'm trying to figure out how to streamline it all and just kind of have one source, and another Ridercast will end at some point after I'm done with it, and then just kind of that'll be it. But again, you can go to my site and find all the different podcasts I do and check those out too if you're interested. That's mjmunoz.com. And now for the questions. What do you think about Kamen Rider Ghost? What did you think about this debut? Is it your favorite show? Is it your least favorite show? Who's your favorite character? Who's your least favorite character? And why for all these things? I know Ghost is a bit of a divisive show, but I've seen the whole thing. I really like it. I think it's great, and it feels very classic and good to me. And I'd love to know what you think about it, and let's have a little conversation about it. So anyway, you can comment me wherever, like I said before, and like you'll hear in this little intro or outro thing coming up. So anyway, until next time, folks, be well. mjmunoz.com is home for all my work, podcasts and reviews of anime, tokusatsu, Star Wars, and more, plus my original writings. If you didn't enjoy this, critique me. If you did, leave me a comment. If you really like this, consider tipping me at coffee.com/mjmunoz. Thank you so much for your time and attention. Until next time, be well.